How's it going, everybody? This is Joey of Underage Packers. This is our draft preview episode, but we didn't want to just put it out there because we recorded it this past weekend, and something kind of big happened today. Nothing too much. Basically, Adam Schefter reported that the Packers Hall of Fame quarterback of 16 years does not want to return to the Packers. So that's kind of some news that we wanted to talk about today before we get into this episode. So there's a lot to be unseen right now, and I don't know when we'll get the answers. I don't know what the answers are. But there's a lot of ball game left on this whole Rodgers situation. Um, I would love it. Last night I was thinking that we, the both of us and everybody gets so caught up in picking a side in this whole Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers situation that we don't like. I realized with myself, dude, who cares what some hobschnob has to say if Jordan Love was a good pick or not? Just be excited that Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback now, and then you have someone in the wings. Don't be so mad. Don't be rooting for Jordan Love to take over and win 5 MVPs so bad that you don't appreciate Aaron Rodgers being your quarterback. And that goes for both ways. I was really thinking about that last night, and I was like, well, I literally said to myself, well, at least we have at least one more year with him, maybe two. So I
Now it's like, well, maybe we have like 2 more days with them.
yeah, well, maybe I should have appreciated. Yeah, literally. So let's just try to get our thoughts process ordered. What we don't know, especially we know very little in my mind. Maybe we know it all. But look, Aaron Rodgers, he was looking for an extension this offseason. Didn't want a restructured deal done. The Packers offered him multiple extensions, and he declined them. So that is where it gets really interesting and pretty scary. The fact that he has declined multiple extensions. They still have him under contract for the next 3 years, but the fact that they are offering him supposedly what he wants. We don't know the details. Maybe it's not enough money for him. Maybe it's still not enough guaranteed money where he doesn't feel enough commitment. But they are giving him what he would want from Green Bay, and he is declining. Big B, do you think? How serious do you think these contract extensions are getting? Do you think the reason he is done is obviously, Jordan Love, but do you think he doesn't feel enough commitment from the Packers?
Um, at this point, I think so. I mean, some report said that Goot, LaFleur, Murphy all went out there on their private jets
Yeah.
and submarine boats and stuff to talk to Aaron Rodgers. So apparently, but I think I would get the vibe that they would love me and care about me and want me to go to bed at night, not feeling like there's monsters under my bed, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just me. I don't know anything,
Yeah.
of course.
It's hard to tell how Aaron is interpreting this, and he's Aaron Rodgers. So of course he's going to have a different viewpoint than us. He doesn't care about the Packers leaving their options wide open. Aaron Rodgers doesn't care what happens with the Packers after he leaves, whether he's forced to, or whether he requests to, or whether he retires with the team. He could care less what happens with the Packers after he is not wearing their uniform. We care about that. So obviously Aaron Rodgers has quite a few different viewpoints on that. Um, but yeah, the Packers are obviously the only way, unless they are keeping their options open. But it isn't the idea that many thought it was, that they weren't offering Aaron an extension or they were unwilling to work with him. So that adds in a few different changes. So they are still keeping their options open, though. But it is really interesting that he declined that contract. Now the trades, all the sources that are getting thrown around, making up different baloney. Who knows what's real? Ringo was reporting that the Packers. I mean, this was a very odd story, but Trey Ringo was reporting. Can't pronounce his name apparently, but he was reporting that the Packers, Goot and company, told Rodgers that they would trade him this offseason. And then apparently, let me look up the full report here so I don't misquote right here. We're good friends. Wouldn't want to hurt his feelings.
I never heard of him, so you can go be good friends with him.
You
all
have.
you want.
Okay, so let's see here. What's Trey say? The Packers reportedly told Aaron Rodgers they were going to trade him this offseason, then backed off. It's been a bleep show between them ever since, and within the last week, Rodgers told the team, trade or no trade, I'm not coming back. Buckle up, folks.
Buckle up, folks.
I don't know how much you can hold to that. Why would they back off? Because you want an MVP? I don't know what would make them back off if they were so committed to. I don't know. That just seems like a very odd story. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be traded. The Packers, if they were to trade him today, they would most likely make it a past June 1st destination where, June 1st, where all the players get their contract bonuses and whatnot. So if they traded him after June 1st, they'd get a lot more, or they'd have a lot less dead cap. So supposedly, Ken Engels proposed that, they make a deal with the team where the deal is in place tonight, but, so that team selects the players from them. The trade doesn't go through until after June 1st. So, we still have a lot of ball game left. I really doubt they trade him tonight. But it's also like time's ticking, boys. If you're gonna make a blockbuster trade and Aaron's gonna sit out in 2021, then you can't wait. I don't think that's the case. We don't have the answers. Brian Gutekunst's going along with his story that they are committed to him for the foreseeable future, which is leaving their options open. If Jordan Love comes in there, lights it up, then obviously Rodgers will get the job this year. But they're keeping their options open to see what Love develops into. Big B, what are the odds you say for Aaron Rodgers to be the Packers starting quarterback week 1 of 2021?
80%.
Yeah, I think at first, the way when you see those words on screen, it's pretty scary. Aaron Rodgers does not want to return in like a Deshaun Watson type fashion. Yeah, and then, but now I'm feeling more confident that he wants an extension. Apparently, from PFF, we all know how trustable Mike Florio and company are over there. He wants control and personnel decisions. Very interesting. I'm not going to act like we can trust anybody. We're going to let it play out like we typically do, like we typically apply here at Underage Packers. But that's the thoughts we have.
And I feel like a lot of this stuff is just fake, and some of it's fake, and it's just getting all mumbled jumbled, and people don't know what they're talking about pretty much at this point. And
I hope
I think it's getting a big disaster.
Yeah, I hope Rodgers has some big interview at the Kentucky Derby. He's just like, that'd be pretty baller if you have this whole thing planned out. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to go up there in my fancy suit. I'm going to go, talk about the draft. So if the Packers don't draft a wide receiver tonight, that'd be pretty shocking. We'll have to see, though. The anticipation is rising. But with that being said, we wanted to address the elephant in the room before we just head off to our draft talk where we aren't talking about it at all. But Big B, any final thoughts?
Stick around for
our live stream tonight.
Yes, that too. And our video with Norm. Stick around with that. A lot of good conversation there. Don't get upset if we don't pick the person you want tonight, and go back.
Unless it's Christian Barmore, then you can raise all of it, because I'll be with you. Thanks everybody for watching, or let's throw it to our interview right now with Norman. What is going on, everybody? It is officially draft night. After all of the overemphasized talk, after all of the mock drafts, after all of the experts, analysts, we are finally here for our draft preview. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday night. We are just about an hour out until the Packers are not on the clock, about probably 3 or 4 hours until they're on the clock. We got a long night ahead of us. But joining me today, as always, for episode 68 of Underage Packers podcast is my co-host, Big B. How are you doing this lovely evening?
Very excited.
Yep.
Look forward to this time of year every single year. So I can't wait to see what the Packers pick.
More specifically, the end of it. I cannot, like, the first 2 weeks. Like, man, I'm hyped for the draft. I'm hyped for looking at all these prospects. But at this point, it's just like I can't take it. Joining us, we are keeping the tradition alive. Last year, our draft preview was with the only guest we could get, and Big B was so excited and enthralled to tell me that we had Green Bay today coming on our podcast last year, and he is joining us once again for the draft preview. Norman, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm happy that I'm able to be on, your guys' show for the third time. I'm a little disappointed though at the same time because it is show 68 and I would have just loved to be on show 69, but 68 will do.
Just missed the mark there. We are today. We're gonna be talking about the draft, obviously. We are going rogue today. So before we get started on any prospects that you've heard 1,000 times about, we gotta talk about Arthur Norman's here crazy prediction here. So I'm gonna paraphrase it and then I'll show the clip because it is word to word exactly what happens. Last year before the draft, there was rumors swirling around that the Packers might select this quarterback. And we geniuses at Underage Packers, we were like, okay, let's talk about this. We had a good 5-minute segment about it. Me and Big B had some thoughts, and then Norman says this.
You know what? I'll tell you something that I think is interesting. If Jordan Love is there at 30, which first of all, I don't even think he's going to make it to 30, but who knows?
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine the Packers social media fans if they traded up to get Jordan Love, let alone take him at 30. But anyway.
So, did you actually think? What did you actually think? I didn't think they were going to select him, but did you think there was any chance, Norman, they would actually trade up for him to pick 26?
So honestly, like the trade up, I didn't see a trade up. I would have never guessed that in a million years for a trade up for Jordan Love. But I think, similar to what I said last year, I can't remember it word for word, but if he's sitting there around where they're, at, in the draft, in the order, it would make sense to take him. And they did. So I just didn't. I did not expect a trade up. I don't think anybody did. And if you said you did, you're probably lying. Maybe.
Yeah.
But and actually, I think when I was doing my first and only mock draft last year, I was the thought came through my head like, could I give the Packers Jordan Love here? And it's a mock draft. It doesn't mean anything, but I was just thinking to myself, like, dude, if I give the Packers Jordan Love here in this mock draft, one, and I'm not going to care about what people think about my opinion or, all that stuff. But like, I was like, dude, I'm going to lose so many followers and get so much hate if I mock Jordan Love to the Packers. So I was like, you know what? Let's just give him, I mocked like Denzel Mims or something for him. So to sum it up, no, I definitely did not see a trade up. But I thought that if he fell into their lap, which he did, they, might take him.
It was so weird because I feel like there's this weird vibe around like, okay, like, there was the Sean Kaiser rumors a few years ago, the rumors of Drew Lock, rumors, I guess you could say. But there felt something real about last year with Jordan Love, and they obviously loved him, traded up from. That was a wild prediction on your part. I made an Instagram post last year on Jordan Love too. And it's weird because right now I have those exact same thoughts. Basically, it might be a year too early, but if the Packers really love him, why not? It's still a lot to play out, but that's the Jordan Love talk. So today we're going to be talking about not as much prospect focus, not only because, nobody wants to hear about them again, but more about how the Packers might look to go specifically here tonight. At the start of this process, there was quite a few positions I was looking at for the Packers. I had quite a few hone focuses. I was like, I don't know really how they're going to go with this first pick. I could see it being a lot of different positions. Now we're getting closer. We're more familiar with the prospects. I think my top three would have to be cornerback, defensive tackle, offensive tackle. I think that's my top three positional predictions. Defensive tackle is probably really unlikely, especially if Barmore is taken before the Packers. But Norm, what are your three positions you're looking at for the Packers at 29?
So contrary to last year, and these are what I'm going to give. They're in no specific order, but contrary to last year, to start it off, I think receiver is definitely in the mix because the argument that some people would make, idiots, that the Packers absolutely need a receiver or a bona fide number 2 receiver next to Devontae Adams. I think the bigger picture in that whole topic is they have nobody under contract, after the season. And that gives literally all of the leverage to Devontae Adams. And he's like, well, if the Packers give him this and Devontae Adams wants that, they don't really have much, or Devontae doesn't have really any reason to budge off of his asking price. So one, Devontae has leverage, and on top of that, there's really no receivers under contract after next season. So I think receiver is probably a high on their priority to address in the draft. Another spot I think they could look to address, as you said, defensive tackle. Besides Christian Barmore, there's probably not anybody, at least you would think, that they wouldn't go for a true defensive lineman in the first round, but who the hell knows where they have anybody graded, really, because we don't know. Nobody knows besides them. So I think defensive line is also another thing that they'll look to add. I mean, I think, what's their defensive line room? Kenny Clark, Lancaster.
Nobody.
Right. So
it really is just Lancaster and Lowry, and then you have the ends of Kiki,
Anthony Rush.
Oh, and how could we forget? Who needs Christian Barmore when you got Anthony Rush?
100%. So defensive tackle, defensive line, I think is something they could look to do. And then offensive tackle too. I mean, I know David Bakhtiari's out, with the torn ACL. He'll probably miss a few games early next season. And that's definitely not a sole reason why you want to take a tackle here. But for one, I think the value specifically for this draft, there's a lot of really good offensive tackles available in this draft. I would say it's a pretty deep class. And I think, for your buck, I think the Packers could get a pretty good one, a starter even, if they don't trade up, say, at 29. So, and on top of that too, Billy Turner, I think, didn't we just give him an extension or something?
The restructure,
the voidable years, something like that. So we'll see. His contract might be coming up next year or the year after that. So, and and you can look also no further than last year when Bakhtiari went out, and I'm not going to talk about the NFC Championship game, but it would have been nice to have a backup swing tackle. So those are my top three.
Yeah, the offense line is going to be really interesting. I love they have the versatility with Elton Jenkins, who can play anywhere. Lucas Patrick, who can play anywhere inside. I would love Telvin Jenkins, but we'll have to see who's there on the board. Big B, what three golden positions are you looking at for pick 29?
I'm going to say offensive tackle, cornerback, and defensive tackle. My top three.
We agree on too much.
Yes, we do.
I think offense tackle is like such a Packers pick and such a deep class. Wide receiver will be a really interesting one. Wide receiver this year, whether they look to add a guy like Kadarius Toney or Elijah Moore, who's that gadget guy that Matt LaFleur loves to have in his offense, or it's a pure receiver guy like Rashad Bateman or Rondale Moore, two great physical, athletic specimens. So now I'll ask you the same question I asked you last year at this time. The draft crushes. Big B, I'll start with you. Who would you love to see on this beautiful cap tonight?
Man,
this is the confirmation. Like, you are sending in your ballot for your draft crush. There's been a lot of talk along the way, but who is your draft crush?
All right, I'm gonna give two here.
All right.
One's realistic and one's really not. So my not really realistic is Jeremiah Owuze Karamara, or whatever the hell his name is.
Everybody calls him Jock for short. J-O-K, Jock.
Yeah. And then my realistic one is Samuel Cosme, the tackle from Texas,
Yep.
I think.
Shout out to Joseph M. Man, my draft, I love Asante Samuel from Florida State. And yeah, Christian Barmore is probably not realistic, so I'll submit my ballot for Asante Samuel. Norm, who are you going with here?
So if I had to pick two, I think obviously we'd probably all have Christian Barmore as one of our draft crushes, but I would be pretty surprised if he made it to 29. So he would be one of my draft crushes, but instead I'm going to give two other guys that I really, really like. Number one, man, Greg Newsome. No biasy because I'm from Illinois, but that dude I think that dude could come in Joe Barry's defense and just ball out. He might not come in and be the, bona fide number 2 cornerback right away that everybody would be, pounding the table for behind Kevin King, who really would not be too, would really not go over well with fans to at least start off the season. But I think he would do a phenomenal job next to Jair in this new Packers defense. And another draft crush I have, man, like I was talking about receiver, man, I love Rashad Bateman a lot. I think he could do special things in Matt LaFleur's offense. And as like you said, he's more of a pure receiver. He can do a lot of things. He's not, he doesn't really have one skill or trait that he's known for. So I think Rashad Bateman and Greg Newsome are probably my 2 draft crushes.
Yep. So you can cross those names off for who the Packers are draft. I mean, besides Josh Jackson, never have I liked a player that they ended up drafting. Well, I've liked them, but not as a crush per se. All right, let's see what else we could talk about here. Draft talk. There's just been so much of it going around. Let's see how this idea plays out in my head. Let's go with naming every position. We're going to try to think of reasons why the Packers would draft them. We got 26 positions here, folks. So we'll try to click through them here. We'll skip quarterback. Besides the 6th round, maybe they're looking for a 3rd string developmental practice squad guy. Running back. Why will the Packers want a running back, Big B?
Because they need a 3rd string running back because we lost the GOAT, Jamal Williams, sadly. Well, always cry at night because of that. So we need to get somebody in the 3rd string spot. Matt LaFleur has said that he wants 3 running backs in this offense. Patrick Taylor could definitely take that over, but that's why.
All right. Wide receiver, Norm. Give us this reasoning.
Going back to it, man, I think just the biggest reason is, you really don't have a lot of those. You don't have any of those guys actually under contract after the 2020 or after this season. So I think that alone is a very good enough reason and justified.
Yeah. All right. I'll take tight end here. Mercedes Lewis is back. Robert Tonyan is back, or Tunyon. My apologies. No, he's a big fan of the show. Jay Sternberger is in that room as well. I'd be pretty shocked if they take one. Maybe Tommy Trimble if he falls to round 4 or 5. He's a really good H-back type guy. But no, I'd be pretty surprised. And maybe if they're looking for a great blocker after Mercedes gone after this year. Offensive tackle, pretty easy one for you again, Big B. But offensive tackle, let's hear why.
Ooh, it's going to be hard to word. I don't know how to word this. So, we could use more depth, of course, on the offensive line. Never hurts to add some depth. Get a versatile guy, but we also need a tackle because don't know how Billy Turner's going to play, if he's going to continue his hot streak from last season. We definitely need another guy for a couple of years down the road, and David Bakhtiari is also hurt. So,
there you have it.
Have to draft somebody.
Interior offensive line, they drafted 3 of them last year, but why might they look to add more this year, Norm?
I think, one, Corey Linsley just departed to the Chargers. Unfortunate. He is a huge part of this offense. 2, Lucas Patrick, I believe, is entering a contract year, so that might be a reason to add one. And 3, if they're not satisfied with the development, I think of Runyon, Stepaniak, and Hansen. That might also be a reason why to add one in the draft.
Sure. Defensive end here. Let's start off. Okay. I'll take this one. There's nobody. I like Kingsley Keke. I really like what he could possibly turn into. But it will be really interesting to see how the Packers line up with Joe Barry's defense, and how similar it is to how the Rams ran it with Michael Brockers, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, all those pass rushing beasts. So who the Packers throw out there will be interesting. Having another guy in there will be an extra help. Defense tackle, pretty easy one again for you, Big B. Rolling the dice on here. Let's hear it though.
We have Kenny Clark and literally garbage bags. That's it.
All right, yeah, get Kenny some help.
All.
Outside linebacker. Let's hear it. Zadarius Smith is back. They were trying to work out an extension, but that didn't end up happening. Sean Gary looks like he could be the next best outside linebacker in the league. But Norman, why might they look to add some more?
I think one reason is you can never have too many good pass rushers. That's a thing in the NFL, similar to offensive tackle. You can just never have, or any offensive lineman, you can just never have, too many pass rushers. I think that's one reason. I think if they were looking to add an off-ball outside linebacker, I think once again, that'd be a position that would fit really well into Joe Barry's defense coming over from the Rams, that new scheme that he's going to be implementing into Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I just think, or not two, three, Preston Smith maybe didn't live up to some expectations that was put on him, for his first year as a Packer. So maybe if the Packers don't feel like he might, produce how he did his first year, or he might be on the decline, they might look to move on from him after this season. So,
yeah, cornerback here. Let's see. With Kevin Keene, he's a 1-year deal. Pretty much, a lot of people thought, oh no, they're not going to add another cornerback now. But I think that's all the proof you need. Kevin Keene is back, kind of as insurance, but also as well as to kind of mentor a guy that they will hopefully take in early day 1, day 2, day 3 pick. Have a long-term answer there, and also just provide some depth, at least for this year, with Kevin Keene and Shannon Sullivan. Inside linebacker, Big B, let's hear it.
We could add a third guy in there, Paul Martin, and shoot, I'm blanking.
Chris Barnes.
Chris Barnes, there we go. See, I'm not that stupid. They're really studs. I really liked how they progressed last year. So I really don't think they should add somebody very high in the draft, but adding somebody in the 4th or 5th, 6th round later in the draft could be kind of a smart move if they get the right guy.
Yeah, Kamal Mart, I wouldn't mind that as well. Ty Summers, Orenberg's not working out, especially Orenberg. So that's a cringe moment right there. But we'll definitely look to add it. I'd be pretty surprised if it's early, like you mentioned. If it's day 1, Zaven Collins, I really like him, but I'd be surprised. I mean, the Packers have never valued inside linebackers really, or maybe I shouldn't use the word never. Maybe in 1955 they really liked the inside linebacker in the first round. But final defensive position. Let's hear why the Packers might look to add a safety, Norman.
Well, similar to the other things I've been talking about in Joe Barry's defense, the Rams last year used a lot of 3 safety sub packages on defense. I think that's a thing Green Bay should definitely look to do. And it would not surprise me one bit if the commissioner came out tonight and handed or, read the card to everybody and the Packers pick a safety in the first round. Also, not to mention the star position that is being talked about now. Getting a guy that can play safety and cornerback, being versatile. The Packers, there's been rumblings about Darnell Savage maybe taking over that guy, or maybe the guy that they want to do that is, going to be drafted tonight or tomorrow or whenever during the draft. We'll see if they look to do that. And behind Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage, you got Vernon Scott, and I think another
Henry
guy.
Black.
I think Henry Black, and then there's one more safety they signed to a futures contract. So I'm not hurt to add another body or two.
I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Gaines, I believe.
Ennis Gaines.
Ennis Gaines, yes.
Yep.
This is literally the only podcast we'll talk about that. So,
exactly.
Yeah, versatility. I love Trevion Moorhig from TCU. Probably saying that wrong. But yeah.
And also gotta say something. Elijah Molden
Yep.
played cornerback and safety.
Hey,
So
since you got you go Big B. Go ahead, bro. My fault.
So he can be the star player.
Exactly.
Yes.
Hey,
Bingo.
my guy, since we're all naming guys here, Javon Holland from Oregon.
Oh boy.
Remember the name. Javon Holland is going to be the best safety in this class. You heard it here first on the Underage Packers podcast.
I know everybody's coming here for those predictions. I love, got to throw in another late rounder guy in there. Hamza Nasilruddin. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
What a name.
Probably, I think Nasruddin, but maybe we shouldn't draft him. I don't want to deal with having to pronounce that name. All right,
we'd probably come up with a nickname.
Oh yeah,
Hams or something.
Love it, dig it. All right, special teams. Most important here. Kicker. I'll take this. Maybe they're trying to get out of the Legends Mason Crosby's contract, and they look to get it. Maybe 6th or 7th round. They look to add some competition. Draft and develop even your kickers, folks. Big B. Let's end it off. Punter and long snapper. Give it to me.
All right, I'm going to take a book out of Corey Banky's. We should not draft a punter. We should get one as an undrafted free agent. We should not spend picks on special teams players. You're welcome.
So funny that Michael Dickerson went like 5 picks ahead of J.K. Scott. It was like 3 times better, but
you know what? I would be okay with spending picks on special teams if that means the Packers can freaking improve it even just a little bit. Yeah. Honestly, watching Packers special teams the past few years has been a disaster and abysmal. So honestly, if they spent, a 5th round pick on a linebacker that was going to primarily play special teams or a 6th round pick on a new punter, I'm okay with it. I'm cool.
Yeah. I'd love, I did mention long snapper, and I probably shouldn't. We have Joe Fortunato. We're all settled, folks.
We're good.
Yeah, no need to worry. That was our big free agent signing. So we improved at that position there.
Super Bowl.
What? Oh yeah, it's Joe Fortunato, Super Bowl confirmed right there. Well, we are gonna end it off here. Norm, as we are recording this, or when this is going live, you should be in Cleveland right about this time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I cannot wait.
Get some good pictures, not of you, but of the stage, obviously.
Oh, okay.
That's where we're going to end it off, the 2021 NFL Draft. Me and Big B, we'll see how tired we are, but we'll definitely be here at some point to recap the draft. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Any final thoughts, Big B or Norman?
You know what? The Packers, whoever they pick tonight, stand behind it, whether you agree or not. And let's ride, man. We got some unfinished business to do.
Exactly. You can find me on Twitter at JoeyGPG. I will undoubtedly be in the Packers Twitter replies tonight on the social media account, bookmarking some tweets, getting petty in the replies. I'm excited for it, folks. I got Dr. Pepper's on the loadout. Make sure to subscribe to the Underage Packers YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook even. And as always, go Pack Go.